What's up? Today we are talking about where are the homes in Maryville with creek view, a mountain view, county only taxes, well water, septic tanks, gas. You know what I'm saying. So let's dive in and get going. All right, so this video is a part of a series. I did East Tennessee as a whole. We have a Knoxville one, we have a Sevierville one, we have a Seymour one. So go check those out. If there's an area you want, obviously let me know. But this one is specific to Maryville. So also what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask a question. We're gonna look at the map and see where are those properties. So where are you more likely to have a mountain view in Maryville as an example? You're gonna see 3 different color dots. You're gonna see blue, orange, and green. So what I've done is I've pulled data from the past year of sales. So we can get a snapshot. This is a sample, like in a research, it's a sample size. So we're pulling a snapshot of data from the past year of sales. That being said, most of this is gonna give you the overall picture of where this stuff is, but for example, new construction, that's gonna shift. I will talk about that when we get there. But that being said, where you see more blue would suggest that that's closing more quickly. If you see a ton of green, there's a lot more opportunity currently right now for that, and that's going to tell you probably also what's tending to stay longer. So anyways, I did not include cancels, I did not include expires, and I did not include temp off markets because a lot of those would have been double data. The other disclaimer to this is this data is from the East Tennessee Realtors MLS, which includes Blount County. So that's kind of your overall data, what we're looking at, what we're talking about. Okay, the other thing is that Maryville and Maryville City both sit inside of Blount County. Go watch my Maryville videos or my Blount County tax videos so you can understand more specifically what I'm talking about. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds about that because that's not what this is about. But I do want to say that if you were to go put in Maryville, yes, there's the Maryville City, and then there's the Maryville that's outside of the city. And the primary difference is that one is zoned for Maryville City schools and one is Blount County schools. And so there's obviously some tax implications and desirability. We're going to talk about those numbers in a second, but I did just want to say we're talking about all of Maryville, not just the Maryville City limits. So that being said, if we look at sales for the past year in Maryville, we get a total of 1,794 total things. So we're looking at the percentages of those sales for the past year. So let's get going. Something that people are always asking for are mountain views. Where are the homes with mountain views? So if you look at Maryville itself, if you look at the graphic I've provided, you can see that there are homes with mountain views all across Maryville. And the total percentage of sales with mountain views are 24%. So about 1/4 of sales for homes have mountain views. And just bear in mind that these are human entered. So somebody went in and clicked a button that said there's a mountain view. This could be a seasonal mountain view. This could be a beautiful mountain view out of the front and the back of the house, or this could be a mountain view out of a bathroom porthole window. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that not all mountain views are created equal. Okay, you can also see that there's a broad color disbursement. You've got blue dots, you've got orange dots, you've got green dots. So solds, actives, and pendings across the board, about 25% of homes in Maryville have a mountain view. So it's a good opportunity to find a house with a mountain view in Maryville. Next up, what about homes with a creek? This says 2%. You see blue and green dots, a couple pending. Not a great opportunity for creek properties. This is Knoxville itself is also 2%, Seymour 0%. So East Tennessee as a whole about 3%. So if you're looking for a creek property and you find one, you got to jump on it because they are few and far between. What about lake or riverfront in Maryville? Now look at the map and you can see that all the way down by Vonor, there are some lake or riverfront properties. That is technically Maryville. That is also the Monroe County Maryville. So yes, it's Maryville, but it's not in Blount County. So if you're looking to be in Maryville proper, there are no riverfront, no waterfront properties. Just know that. All right, what about Lakeview? 0.1, literally 0.1%. Some of these that are closer into Maryville that you're seeing on the map, I don't think that's correct. Again, where you're seeing them is down by Tellico and Vaughn, past Tellico that way, near Kahidi. And that's Maryville, but it's also Monroe County, not technically Blount County. So anyways, not really where you're going to be looking for waterfront property. Maryville is not the place for that. Okay, all right. What about county-only taxes? So about 71% of homes listed in Maryville and transacted are county-only. So what does that mean? That means you're going to be zoned for Blount County schools, not Maryville City schools, even though you have a Maryville address. You can transfer in. That's a whole other video. Go look at that. But that being said, 71%. So the majority of homes that are Maryville addresses are not within the Maryville city limits. You're going to pay for trash service. Again, you've got county schools. Your EMS service is a little bit different. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is not, I am in Blount County. I'm in Seymour, not Maryville. I'm a sister to Maryville, but we haul our trash. So just keep that in mind. Now, my mom, for example, she lives in Knox County, the house I grew up in. And she pays for trash service because she's in Knoxville, but she's not within the Knoxville city limits. Very same idea in Maryville. About 71% of homes are in the county limits versus homes transacting that are within the city limits, about 29%. And let me just tell you how happy I was when that mathed. Literally, I said, it worked. It was beautiful. Which I know it's simple percentages, but I was like, watch this number for city be way off. But no, 71% county, 29% city. Boom. And how did I do that? I just went in and put max, to find county only, I went in and put max city taxes, $1, which gave me 71%, which means county only taxes, 71% homes. And how did I do the other one? I said minimum city tax, $1. So that's how I weeded out or found things that had city only. So anyways, about 29%. So yeah, can you find a property in Maryville with the Maryville City School District? Yes, but look at the graph. All of those dots, nearly all, a ton of those dots are blue. Those houses sell. You see the shadows of an orange, and some of them are covered up, right? But lots of solds within Maryville City. People want to be within the Maryville City zone, within the Maryville City School District. So, and one of those oranges is my client. Okay, so I'm just telling you that you better jump on it. Jump on it. All right. What about properties with sidewalks? I don't even think sidewalks are a thing in East Tennessee. I'm from here. I don't think it's a thing. I think it's so weird when people say that there's sidewalks. So I'm like, where is that? Okay. But according to the data, 10% of homes for sale in Maryville that have sold the past year have a sidewalk. So it exists, but if it's a deal breaker for you, you might have a hard time. You can see that those that do have sidewalks are closer into town based on that graph. And there's a good disbursement of blue, orange, and green. So, but you're gonna need to be closer into town than further out, which would make sense, right? Right? Okay. All right, 3-car garages. Now, this is not just a 3-car garage. If you've watched the other videos, I'm repeating myself 11,000 times on this, but I put 3-car, basically I chose, what I was trying to find is where are houses with like more than one garage or an outbuilding or a legitimate workshop. I did not choose an outbuilding or workshop because some people call those sheds. And when we're talking about a workshop here, we're not talking about a shed. We're talking about where could you put your steam engine. I have a client that needs an additional garage because he's building a steam engine, okay? And that will not fit inside a shed. So the goal was to figure out where are properties where you can park covered 3 or more cars, which could include outbuildings, workshops, etc. So that's the reasoning behind this data piece, but it does include homes with a 3-car garage. So just want to say that. 11% of sales transacting. You can see that these are pretty much spread across Maryville. Also, please note though that there's not a ton of these within the city limits. Why is that? Well, because those tend to be smaller lots, and also within Maryville City and Alcoa City for that matter. These are older homes, smaller lots. 3-car garages weren't really a thing back in the day, or outbuildings weren't really a thing. Now you have some that have added on, but these are more outside in the county. And you can also see down by that Monroe County area, that's by Tellico and Vonore, you can see those are likely within a neighborhood with a 3-car garage. The stuff that you see dispersed outside those areas, so kind of south of Maryville, that's probably going to be a workshop outbuilding kind of situation. And again, that accounts for about 11% of the market. What about properties in Maryville with 1 or more acre? This accounts for about 14% of sales over the past year, so that's a good snapshot for us. It's not the majority. They do exist, about 14%. If you look at where are they? They are all across Maryville. just kind of dispersed out. You see a lot of blue and a lot of orange, which would indicate to me that that stuff is moving pretty quickly. Certainly you're not seeing a ton of 1 acre properties right inside Maryville city limits, right? What about 5 or more acres? And I thought this was interesting. I would have thought this number is actually higher. I was wrong. Total 5 or more acre properties that have sold in Maryville, 4%. Now they are dispersed again across. We're not seeing any dots inside Maryville city limits for the most part. Like there's a couple here or there, but for the most part, you're seeing them kind of southwest of Maryville, kind of like out. I was gonna say out in the boonies, okay, but they're, you know, they're out there, okay? 5 or more acres. So not stuff that's necessarily right in town, obviously. Not a ton of option there. If you see it and you like it, you gotta jump on it. All right, what about townhouses or condos? You can imagine that these would most likely be in town. That's exactly what the map shows. This accounts for about 12% of the market. These are mostly right in close into Maryville and Alcoa. There's a couple little spots further out, but for the most part, these are going to be attached townhouses. There is a newer construction. There are some high-rise options in Alcoa, Maryville, like right downtown. Actually, I think there's one building, and I think it's actually Alcoa technically. But it's like here's the road and here's the building. Okay, so you know what I mean? But there are some new construction townhouses, and even those they're not high rise. It's like they're duplexes, for lack of a better word, but those are again attached. There's just not a ton of like high rise options is what I'm trying to get at. Most of these are a townhouse connected with a garage. You walk in, main level, master, etc. There are a couple actually along the Greenway, but I think that's also Alcoa, so those don't count. But mostly they're townhouses is what I'm getting at, not actual high-rise condos. So that market, you're looking at about 12%. Again, as I mentioned, those are more within the city. If you look at what's available, you have a good mix of blue, green, and orange. Quite a bit of green right now active. So about 12% of the market is an attached condo situation. Now, what about no HOA? Now, 63% of homes transacting in Maryville did not have an HOA. So if you also look at where they are spread across Maryville. So it is likely that you could find a property without an HOA. There are some neighborhoods there with an HOA, obviously, 38% according to the numbers, and according to subtraction, but it's completely possible. No HOA, completely possible. Seymour is 77% no HOA. So if you even want less HOA, you can look to Seymour, and you're still very close to Maryville. What about new construction? Lots of new construction happening in Maryville. You have Turner, I believe Turner's there. You have Smithville, and you have D.R. Horton for sure. And then you've got a bunch of like one-off builders that are they're buying a lot and building one piece at a time. And then you have some new neighborhoods coming in. So certainly new construction options. This number I expect to fluctuate and change year to year. Again, this data is October 2023 to October 2024. And so we're again looking at a snapshot. So this snapshot would say that about 27%. Ball Homes is out there too, out by the Walmart, way out. But anyways, keep it together, Haley. About 27% new construction. Again, I expect that to fluctuate. If you look at where those are, all across Maryville, and you also see that there's a ton of blue dots. So that stuff is moving. I see one orange and I see probably 10 or so green. So if you're wanting new construction in Maryville, you're gonna need to jump on it. Again, Maryville is a pretty competitive market. People want to be in Maryville. It's close to the airport, it's close to Knoxville, but you're not kind of in all that Knoxville stuff if you don't wanna be in that. But you're also really close to the mountains. So that's why people like Maryville. So new construction is possible. If you see it and you like it, you want to buy it. All right, what about HOAs with lawn care? As you can imagine, these are closer in. If you look at the map, this accounts for about 6% of the market. If we take a snapshot again over the past year, I'm seeing blues, orange, and greens. The fact that I see so many orange makes me think that this is a new development in that one little pocket there. But if you're wanting lawn care, that's not really a huge thing in East Tennessee in general, and certainly not a huge thing in Maryville, seeing as how it's only 6% of the market. Next up, what about homes with in-ground pools? 4% of homes in Maryville with in-ground pools. This is interesting because most of them are closer into the city. You see very few further out. So where we saw those 5-acre properties is completely opposite of where we're seeing houses with an in-ground pool. So interesting. You're gonna be closer in. If you want a house with an in-ground pool, you're gonna be closer to the Target in Maryville, basically. That's the takeaway, okay? All right, what about neighborhoods with a pool? Interestingly, Seymour had 0, which I'm still just baffled by. But Maryville, 4% of neighborhoods that were transacted over the past year for sale had a neighborhood with a pool. And as you can imagine, same thing with in-ground pools. These properties are closer into town, neighborhoods, you know, where kids tend to be, where families tend to be, more likely closer into town for multiple reasons. But about 4% of overall properties with a neighborhood that has a pool. Now, let's talk about well water. So this graphic of this is going to be very telling for you, because you could be driving around in Maryville and everything's fine, and you get further out, and boom, all of a sudden you don't have any cell service. Okay, now look at the map that I've given you. About 3% of homes that transacted over the past year in Maryville are on well water. Now, when you see this graphic, this is the perfect example of how to show you not all Maryville is created equal. This is actually a really good graphic for East Tennessee, because even though it's a Maryville address, some of these houses are way out in the middle of nowhere, windy roads, up a cliff, not convenient to get to. Maybe that's what you want, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're out here on well water, it's going to be more rural. And I keep pointing this way because I'm looking at the graphic, but the graphic should be on the screen, hopefully. That being said, you can see that this also matches where some of those 5-acre properties were. These are further out areas. So if you're looking at a Maryville area and you see something's in Benfield or Happy Valley or over by Top of the World, you likely won't have cell service top of the world, okay? Been there, done that. You get further out and it's further accessible, which therefore it's on well water. It's hard to get to from a, putting a water line. So just wanna point that out. 3%, it's not a huge number, but this graphic does kind of show you like there are houses that are out there, even though they are a Maryville address. Because they are Maryville, it's just like where these are still 20-25 minutes just to get to downtown Maryville, much less to get to downtown Knoxville, to the airport, etc. All right, what about houses with a septic tank? I actually thought this number would be higher, but about 37% of homes for sale or that closed in Maryville have a septic tank. I don't think this is a huge deal. I myself live on a property with a septic tank. Go check out videos about septic tanks, the ones that I've created, etc. But about 37%. So it's not necessarily likely, but completely possible that you could find a property that is on a septic tank. Again, I don't think this is a deal killer. Do your due diligence, check out the information. I can obviously help you do that. Your agent can help you do that. But just a side note, it is possible that you're gonna have that. And you're also seeing that those properties are spread across Maryville. 37%. All right, now let's check out, what about homes in Maryville that you have utility gas? If you look at this graphic, this is in complete opposition of houses with well water. If you look at the well water graphic, you see it's properties out and far away from downtown Maryville. If we look at the graphic for utility gas, you see that those properties are kind of closer into Maryville, right? Notice that Alcoa is, that Maryville line is kind of going like this, and Alcoa sits in this pocket. So don't take this video as indicative of Alcoa. I just did not include Alcoa in this. I'll make Alcoa its own video, but that being said, I just want to point out to you that it's looked like, oh, Alcoa doesn't have gas, but actually it's just not included in the search. It's just only Maryville addresses. So anyways, we were talking about gas, about 37% with utility gas. Again, does not include propane. This is that they have utility gas. They can call the utility company and say, hey, send me my gas bill. It's piped in, etc. So is it completely likely that you could have utility gas? Not necessarily likely, but is there a good chance? 37%, I think that's pretty good. So anyways, that is your where are the homes in Maryville with insert whatever you want. Hopefully this has been helpful. As always, go check out the other videos if you're interested in other areas of East Tennessee, or go check out the other Maryville videos for more information about that. As always, I'm Haley Jones. I love talking to you about all things East Tennessee, so click subscribe because I have so much more to share with you. And of course, if you have questions, you can call me, text me, email me. We'll get to you, and I'll see you on the next video.